Hello and welcome. I'm Peter, joined by,
Keith, also known as Duke KC.
and this is Back to the Lab,
Yep, back to the lab, episode 3.
episode 3, a Tekken
So-
podcast.
So we did one 2 weeks ago, and
Yes.
it was about TWT and stuff. And this week there's been pretty big news for the Tekken community.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Considering that last week we didn't have too many topics to really talk about, this week we have a ton of stuff to try to squeeze in within the 1 hour.
yes. Oh god,
Yeah.
yeah. There's quite a few topics that we'll have to get into.
Yeah.
So-
The things we're going to talk about first are going to be the patch 3.30 changes, followed by our thoughts on Fahkumram, and third is going to be our opinions on the state of the game of Tekken Season 3.3, and last but not
3.3, yeah.
least, yeah, 3.3, and then last but not least, Michael Murray.
That's quite a few topics actually for
Yeah,
an hour-long podcast. So
yeah,
hopefully we can
Okay.
crank all that stuff out.
yeah.
So I guess we can just jump right into the 3.3 changes, right?
Yeah, let's just start with that.
Let's start with our main characters. For you being Brian,
Yes.
what do you feel about the +5 on Quarter Circle Back 3?
Yeah. So Brian is definitely going to be a lot stronger now because, as many of you guys know, Brian's hatchet kick has been +4 for a while now, and then
Like forever.
forever. And then now, I even want to say back in like tag games, it was also +4, I think. Last I checked. But whatever the case, I didn't play tag, so I don't know. But whatever the case, now it's +5, and it also has 2 additional damage, going from 21 to 23 frames of, or
That's
21
crazy.
to 23 points of damage.
I can't believe they buffed the damage of that.
So here's the thing: I had called the damage out on it on my wish list. So
Right.
I had made a wish list of things I wanted to see in season 3. Mostly the damage increase from 21 to 23, and my reasoning behind it was it takes about 8 hatchet kicks. So if you just have your opponent stand there, it takes about 8 hatchet kicks to kill an opponent. Now it takes 7 if all you did was, do hatchet kicks. But what this essentially means is that if you land 3 hatchet kicks, you've basically gotten a free jab in on your opponent, because I think Brian's standing 1 jab is 7 damage or something like that. So you
Right.
if you get 3 hatchet kicks in a round or whatever, you've basically
Yeah.
gotten in a free jab.
Free
as a
jab.
result of that, right? And so while this damage isn't a whole lot, it tends to add up over time.
It adds up a lot actually.
Yeah.
I didn't like any of the damage changes, except for the nerfs, like to Akuma's Downfall and Geese's Deadly Rave.
Yeah.
Mainly because I actually stated this in my 3.30 video. In a game where damage in general, especially in combos, is already considered fairly high, I
Right.
think buffing the damage of moves, like especially to like Link's lows,
Yeah.
was a poor choice. I don't think any moves should have gotten damage increases. For me, that's my opinion. I don't know.
Well, let's put it this way. I think the way that I see do we want to talk about the elephant in the room, which is going to be the 3 frames shaved off of
Oh,
electrics, and then the improved tracking
On hell sweeps. Okay,
on hell sweeps.
so
So you want to take this first?
yeah, I'll take this.
All right, you take
Okay,
this.
I'm
So I
a
don't wanna
I'm
get
a
my
Devil
hands
Jin
dirty.
player. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
I'm a Devil Jin
Yeah,
player, and when I'm bored, I also play Kazuya because he's really really fun. So I
thought
love
when you get bored,
Mishimas.
you played Noctis.
No, I play Noctis when I play Noctis to get bored.
Oh, okay.
I play Mishimas when I want to feel, when I want to have fun, basically. So I love
Yeah.
Mishimas. Don't get me
Right.
wrong. I love Mishimas. But for me, IMO, these changes were terrible. These were awful. And I'm looking at this as the overall health and balance of the game.
Sure.
And I think reverting the electric to previous versions, the reason why they nerfed it over the years, because it was such a good keep out tool. You could just spam it, right? And it's already, to me, the electric is a broken move. and it's only the only reason why it's not considered broken is the execution factor. So buffing the recovery on it now puts into question how much should execution reward you, and like, have you seen how hard it is to punish that shit?
Oh,
Even
the electric?
low,
It's incredibly hard. Yes.
even low high can't do it on reaction now. You have to really be predicting it, basically. So to me, I think that's cheap. That's like, to me, that's cheap. The buff tracking on electrics in season 2 was already hella good, because now it catches like a lot of people sidestepping, basically. But the hell sweep change, I really do not like it, but it seems like what it's done, the hell sweep change has basically made characters who previously could barely even sidewalk it, like the big characters like Jack, basically impossible to sidewalk it now. It makes it impossible, and it limits certain characters. Like, I found that Kazuya for some reason couldn't sidewalk the hell sweep, but Devil Jin can. So now
I mean, it's probably due to the fact that characters have different varying amounts of sidestepping and sidewalk.
You have to basically see the movement of your character. For me, the hell sweep one, I think, is the electric one. If I had to pick one to keep, which one I think would be better to keep, it would probably be the electric one, because the hell sweep one, that's crazy. The changes themselves are crazy, but it's both of them coupled together that makes it such an insane shake up to the Mishimas.
Right.
And the hell sweep one, people are going like, man, like, it's not like you've ever sidewalked a hell sweep before in your life. I've done it many times.
Yeah,
it's happened a lot.
Yeah.
So I know how useful it is to be able to use movement against the wave dash mix up. Coming from a Mishima play and fighting against so many Mishimas. So the hell sweep change is another problem, because then we're in a 3D game, and the lack of using lateral movement continuously in high level Tekken then makes the fact that it's a 3D game kind of, like, it's negated, like.
Oh, that's interesting. I hadn't actually thought about how it changes the whole 3D game thing, but the way that I see it is, if I had to keep one, I would probably keep the tracking of the hell sweep over the 3 frames of the
electric.
The reason why is because it feels bad when you duck intentionally to avoid an electric, and then you still don't get the punish, right?
And then you get punished.
and then you get punished, because I think that this, in effect, allows for a little bit too much spamming of electrics.
Yes,
and
it's basically electric spam now.
Right. So I think it allows for a little bit too much spamming of electrics, and while I understand that it is a hard move to do and to
it's not really that hard.
Well, that's what I'm getting to. While it is a hard move to master initially, right? Because you'll first start learning electrics and you'll do maybe like 1 out of 5, or maybe 1 out of 4.
Way less than that for sure. Yeah,
or whatever it is, right? Then as you get progressively better and better, it becomes, every other time that you do it. But in truthfulness, like, how many times have you really gotten punished for throwing out a regular Wind God Fist? Like, never. Like, you.
Yeah, I never punish Wind God Fist. It's so hard for me to punish that.
It's one, like, mostly because I play online. So you play offline though.
I play offline, yeah.
Yeah, so online, even when I see it is a Wind God Fist and I do my 10 frame Punisher, I'm usually probably like 1 or 2 frames too
late. Yeah,
because it's a single hitting move, right? It's not like 2 hits, right? It's a single hitting move, and
it's not telegraphed. So.
No, it's not.
It's not like a Kazumi's RSS2 where you can see her fly in and do the move, so you can punish that easily. Yeah.
And the way that I think about it is, this probably, in a sense, allows for too much spammy, and this, in a sense, affects online play and kind of allows the Mishimas to hang back and throw it out and hope that you run into it, right? Not to mention that it can also be used offensively.
Yes.
And if you do intentionally duck it and you're like, all right, this Mishima is going to throw it out, and then I'm going to, punish it. it's by then it's too late because you have to basically preemptively almost throw out your launcher, because you know from crouching you're usually going to be throwing out your while standing 15 frame launcher or 16 frame or 14 frame launcher.
Yeah.
And that feels bad to me. And the reason why I want to keep the hell sweep as tracking is because I can understand that characters like Kazuya doesn't particularly have very good homing attacks besides, down forward 2, but down forward 2 has its risks at being, minus 12, and it's punishable. And, besides that, he's got to get kind of creative on how he wants to track you, right?
Right.
So he doesn't particularly have a safe homing move besides like while standing 3, I believe.
While standing 3 is good, yeah. Back 4 is okay, but it's high.
Yeah, back 4,
so yeah, he's not good for that, yeah.
Yeah. So I still think he has the weaknesses, because he still has the weaknesses of being able to be sidewalked on those things, but you have to be a little bit more precise on when you sidewalk. It's no longer a situation where you're like, oh my god, my movement's so good. Hold side step left. Oh my god, look at my godlike movement. Like, right, you just hold side step left backdash, hold side step left backdash, hold side backdash side. So it kind of negates that. So I that's why I would keep it, because this also prevents people in the beginning ranks from being like, I must master the electric.
Right,
and then only spam it out.
For me, I think the problem is that these changes, they don't fundamentally change the character, so their weaknesses are still very much prominent.
Yeah.
And they don't make the character like automatically way better. It's just that they make their best moves even better, and I really don't like when they do that. And I understand it's interesting to have weaknesses, but also it's, you buff their best moves that are already like super good. It doesn't really, do much for the balance of the game. Like, what good does that do, really? Because Deviljin's problem was that he doesn't have any good power mids. Deviljin doesn't have any good power mids. His R44 sucks now. His 442 is fine, but it doesn't do that well. So they didn't want Deviljin to be as well-rounded as before. Right, for the original season 3 change. So I kind of get that. That's a fundamental change that affects Deviljin a lot. But then these changes to the electric, they just make the frustrating stuff even harder to deal with now, and I don't really like that. That's the direction they went for.
Well, here's the other thing with electrics, right?
Yeah.
Not every character has a good high crushing move, right?
Yeah, Fahkumram, in fact, doesn't have one.
Does not have one, which we'll get to at some point. But not every character in the game has a good high crushing move that can counter hit.
Yes.
Characters like Noctis does. Characters like Brian do. Characters like Fang do. But not every character does have like a high crushing move that will very much penalize characters for using those items, right?
Yes.
So I think in that sense, if you are a character that doesn't particularly have a very good high crushing move, or yours comes out very slowly, it could be a problem, right? That's why I think the electric removing 3 frames on whiff is a potential issue.
Do you know how they went about the balancing? Like, they look at the world data, like the world win rate data for online, and then they see who is at the bottom, and then they buff those, which that's not a good way to go about it, like, at all. Well, I don't know what they were thinking about when they did that.
I do want to say something, which is the other games do this, right? Where you look at the tournament results and then you say, hey, which character is getting underrepresented? And then you go to A, B, and C, and then you're like, okay, well, these characters are underrepresented. And it would be cool if we saw these characters
That's
more
what Street
often,
Fighter does.
so they can get buffed. And not just Street Fighter. Let's say a game like Hearthstone that has nothing to do with fighting games, right?
Oh, yeah, they're balanced.
Like, Blizzard would look at a game, and the developers would say, look, this class
Mage
is
hasn't been in the spotlight for a while. Let's make Mage really good.
Yeah, so they'll do that.
Yeah.
And I think there's absolutely nothing wrong with that if that's what I thought. But part of me also thinks it's not based on that, because character like Eliza, still no buffs. Characters like Gigas, still no buffs.
Still no
characters
buffs,
like Lars, no buffs. So these are also underrepresented characters, but yet they have gotten no love from, the balancing of it. Whereas characters like I'll say this much, Hwoarang, very hard to play. Very hard to play at a competitive level.
He is. Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I initially thought like, oh, they're just buffing the characters that, don't show up very much. Characters like Xiaoyu. You rarely see Xiaoyus in tournaments.
Yeah.
Right?
Even though she's hella good.
Yeah, I think she's very good, but she's just get underrepresented in tournaments because it's
there's
very
just no
hard
players for her, I think.
Yeah. It's just very hard to open up characters in that sense in a tournament scene unless you start throwing out all the gimmicks and stuff. Like, she can play solid, but it's much harder.
Yeah.
And then you have Kazuya and Heihachi. And when I saw that, I'm like, oh, okay, they're underrepresented. So I can understand that. Same thing with Brian, besides Mr. Naps and, maybe...
every blue moon,
Knee every blue moon. It's very rare to see them. Like, and I know Multi goes to tournaments, but it's only in like Korea. But
Multi's a Brian main. I didn't know that.
Yeah, Multi is a Brian main. Oh. And then same thing with Asuka, right? Besides Dimeback, you don't see that many Asuka players. Or I guess
Dimeback or Fergus. That's about it.
And then Lily. Okay, so she doesn't see any tournament play really.
She's a good tournament character than she is a general character to IMO.
Right. So this is why when I saw the list, if you just gloss quickly at the list and you don't think about it, you're like, oh wow, these are all underrepresented characters. Miguel, Eddie, Lee,
Miguel, yeah.
Right? Nina, Lily, Asuka, Kazuya, Heihachi, Brian, Xiaoyu, Hwoarang. Very underrepresented characters. But then you start going through the rest of the list and you're like, well, what happened to Gigas? What happened to Lars? What happened to Eliza?
Yeah.
Right? What about
these
the
Bears?
Characters? Yeah. Or Bears. What happened to these characters? So
they it seems like what they like to do is they buff the mid and high tier. They buff enough the mid and high tier characters, and then completely leave out the low tier ones for some reason.
Right.
Because all of these characters seem to be roughly mid tier to high tier. Like, none of the low tier characters seem to be on the list.
I would say Lily's mid low.
Oh, I would put Lily at mid. So okay, Lily's fine. Lily, I'll let that slide. But
She's got
keep
a really bad down forward one, doesn't she?
She's got bad down forward one. Yeah. But they keep changing all these mid and high tier characters and then completely forget about the low tier ones. And the low tier ones are also underrepresented in tournaments, which makes me wonder why they don't do anything to those characters. Is it just because they're not popular? I don't know. Like, I'm sure Gigas isn't that popular, or Eliza isn't that popular. So maybe that's why. It seems like these characters.
Well, let me put it this way. There's like a ton of other characters that we could talk about, right? We could talk about what happened to Leo, what happened to your main Noctis, right? Or characters characters like Bob, or characters like Anna.
Yes.
Like, we could talk about Bears too, like we mentioned. But like, there's a ton of characters that could get more buffs but didn't. So if their goal was truly to widen the spread of what shows up in, I guess, tournament play, then sure. Yeah.
I don't think they're targeting at balancing the game. They just wanna shake it up. And I think this entire balance patch was super unnecessary and not needed at all. That's just what I think. I think I like some of the changes. They nerfed Geese's Deadly Rave. Should have. Akuma's downfall, sure. I like the change to Hwoarang's Crouch Dash 3. The hitbox is bigger. Hits AOP now, if I'm not wrong, and works in combos. But there's some changes that I just can't stand by. The Mishima changes. Hwoarang's right foot forward back 2 is really dumb. Some changes to me are just like, even like the changes to Brian and Miguel's lows. Close Up back 3 and Savage down back 3. I don't mind the +5 as much, but I think the damage is I think all the damage increases should go as well. Like, I don't know. I just don't like.
You're a crazy man. You're like, I'm okay with the +5 frames. just decrease the 2 damage.
Okay, look. Okay.
Do you realize what this means for Brian? Brian gets
I get
now
it.
Brian gets a down back 2 check on you. If that
Yes.
hits,
Okay. I get that the +5 is a huge change. That's a bigger change than it is in the damage one. I get that.
Yeah.
But I think it's useful to Brian, and I like that.
No, I think it's useful to Brian too.
Yeah, it's useful to Brian, so I'm okay keeping it. But the damage change doesn't help anybody. I mean, okay, look, it helps of course the Brian players, but overall as the game goes, it doesn't really help anybody increasing damage in a game where damage is already considered fairly high.
Yes. Okay.
So
I can agree with you on that.
That's why I don't like any of the damage increases, for me. Yeah. So I think general consensus is this patch sucked. What did the people in your Discord server say about it? Everyone on my Discord server hated it.
I think everybody was too shook with the UGIF nerfs, UGIF buffs, and the Hell Sweep to really talk much about anything else.
I heard Nina got good changes, but I don't actually know the Nina changes.
I mean, I don't really. Nina's one of those characters where I labbed like 4 moves, and I'm like, I need to be able to do this, right? So like, I labbed Can Opener, right?
Of
and
course,
then I labbed
yeah.
Down 3-4-3. So like, those types of things, and Punish Blonde Bomb. But like, aside from that, I know very little about Nina, admittedly, and I know not to press buttons after forward 4.
Okay. Yeah, so these changes sucked.
Well,
I
let's
like
see. Maybe
them.
maybe this is partially a rollout, right? Maybe this is going to be ongoing. So instead of releasing every single character, this is what I'm hoping. Instead of releasing every single character with a new plus, whatever, a new shiny balance, they're going to release part of it, and then the next part, 3.31, maybe they buff Bears, maybe they buff Leo, maybe they buff
I
Noctis,
highly doubt
maybe.
that's gonna happen. Well, they are gonna change some stuff soon, but I don't think they're gonna buff those characters, man.
We'll see.
Those characters are gonna be left in the dirt. Yeah, that's
only time will tell, right?
Yeah, I'm fine with as a Noctis main, I'm okay with Noctis not getting any changes. I'm just annoyed at the changes that the other characters got, I don't care. Like, people are like upset, why did my character get nerfs or buffs? Or no, nobody's asking for nerfs, but why did my character not get buffs? It's like, why did they leave out this character? Why did they forget Armor King? It's like, I've learned to not complain about changes too much, but I think there's some stuff that definitely should be changed. Some people are saying they should get a pro player to help them. I don't think that's a good idea. But also, I don't know what their balanced team is doing.
That's actually a really interesting point. Because then the question is, do you balance the game for pros?
That's what I think they don't want to do. They don't want to just balance for pros. They want it for the general fan base. Because
if you balance it for pros, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be balanced for the average player. And that
there's a whole tier list for online characters, right?
Yeah.
That Noctis suddenly goes from B tier all the way to S tier. Eliza goes from F tier to A tier. Yeah. There's all these online characters that they don't want to buff the online scrubby characters, I think. Maybe.
Yeah, I think so. But then as a result, they never see tournament play
that's true.
Yeah.
To me, I think it's better to buff for tournament play because it makes it a better general balanced game. Because I always treat the game as a high level game.
Yeah,
I never think of it. Yeah, exactly. So then there's there's the other side of people who are casuals, right? They'll go online, they'll fight an Eliza, and they'll be like, dude, this character is broken as fuck.
Oh, of course,
yeah.
And she also has a snake edge too. So.
She has a snake edge, yeah. And that's just how it is. You can't please everybody.
Yeah.
But that's just how games are. You just can't please everybody.
Yeah.
And I personally, I don't know what the right way to go is. Like I couldn't tell you.
I mean, honestly, if you were on the balancing team, you would really be torn too. Because
yes.
Here's the danger of both sides, right? You balance it for the average player, making everything easier.
Yes.
But then what ends up happening is your pro scene dies, and when your pro scene dies, people stop watching.
Yes, and then the game dies in general when you don't have a real pro scene.
Yeah. I mean, this is the whole debacle that I think a lot of people feel what happened with Street Fighter V, right? They dumbed it down. They dumbed it down too much, and then as a result, the pros aren't as interested, and when the pros aren't as interested, and there's not as many people who want to get into the pro scene, it becomes an issue because then you don't have as much of a storyline, and you don't have as much of hype for the game.
Yep. True. Very true.
But then the issue is when you start balancing it only for the pro scene, you also endanger the potential of the casual gamers,
which is like the majority of the audience as well.
Right. So you have to kind of strike a balance between the two, and that is a very
hard to do.
Very fine line to tread.
Yeah. Okay.
But anyways, I think we should move on to the next topic.
We spent way too long on this topic. We didn't even discuss about many of the changes, actually. But
oh, fuck. We're really bad at this, guys.
Yeah. Oh, shit. Time track.
Time track, yeah. Okay,
next. Fahkumram.
Fahkumram.
He's released. Woo!
Well, actually, or technically, I guess his name is pronounced Fahkumram.
Yeah, you saw Book's tweet on it, right?
It's Fahkumram.
Yeah. Fahkumram, not fuck your mom. It's like...
yeah.
I don't know. It's too hard to.
I mean, even the announcer, the
Fahkumram, like that's how he says it or some shit.
No. It's not rum. It's lum.
Is that what he says though? Is that what the announcer says?
It's like Fahkumram. It's L. The R is pronounced.
Okay, you know what? That's too hard for me. I'm just gonna stick to English because it's too hard. I hate having to butcher other languages.
Okay.
So yeah. What do you think of the character? I think he's cool.
I think I might eat my words on this, but I think he's top 10.
That's very dangerous words to say.
I know it's very dangerous, but I think he's top 10. And
I would put him
the only reason why I say this.
Outside.
The only reason why I say this is he's got a couple of things in his toolkit that make him a top 10 character, right? Top 10 characters usually need to have a solid 13 frame punish or a 11 or 12 frame punish that hurts really bad.
He's got far and above punishment.
Yeah. He's got 1-4, which is a great 10
frame incredible. That shit
16,
is nuts.
Plus 16 on hit. Wall splats.
10 frames?
10 frames? Yeah. That's amazing.
That's insane. That's one of the best
damage
punishes.
And the damage is good.
Yeah.
And the damage is good. So you also then have a 12 frame standing punish 4-2-1.
4-2-1. Mm-hmm.
Wall splats, right?
Mm-hmm.
And also has really good range.
Yeah.
Has really good range. 4-2-1 has really good range. 12 frame punish, wall splats. And then he also has a 14 frame punish. Good
Back
range.
One. Yeah.
Back one. Good really range.
Good damage as well.
Good damage.
Yeah.
Right. So he also has, down forward 2-3. While playing with this, I realized that down 4-2-3 doesn't have as much range.
No, I thought it had more range than.
Yeah. I've actually played online where I was like, he whiffed down 4-2-3. Oh wait,
no, it doesn't.
I wasn't in range. Yeah, it doesn't reach. But thankfully, nobody online.
I saw the trailer and I was like, Brian's while standing one down 4-2-3. Wow, that's good range. It doesn't really have that great range.
What they're doing is they're neutral guarding it and then doing down 4-2-3. They're not holding back.
That sucks.
Yeah. Because I tested it myself and I was like,
it doesn't work?
In the world are they... Not if you're holding back. I mean, maybe if Brian is point blank and does wall standing one. But
I think if maybe at the wall it could, but like
okay, sure,
it's,
at the wall.
It's never gonna happen in the open.
Yeah, it's incredibly hard.
His wall standing 13 frame punish also wall splats. Wall standing 1-2. Amazing damage. His wall standing 4 is pretty chunky for wall standing 4 as well. It's like Kings and Armor Kings.
It's 20 damage wall standing 4?
It's 20 damage wall standing 4, yeah.
Oh, Jax is too, I think.
Yeah. So, yeah, he's got far and above punishment. Okay, the
And that's
commonality
why,
I think.
and that's why I think, like, those are the check marks. Okay, standard down forward 1, right?
Yes,
More or less.
yeah.
More or less. I mean,
I
it's
think
not
his
minus
down forward 1 has
1 on
hitbox
block.
issues, but I guess we'll get into that.
Down forward 1 has more range than you think it does.
It has, okay, for me, what I feel is it has simultaneously good and bad range. There's certain things where it should hit, but it doesn't. And
You're talking
like,
about his combos more
okay,
so.
one is in his combos, but like sometimes when you're off axis by a little bit, the down
Yeah.
forward 1 just doesn't reach.
Yeah,
And it's perfectly in the right distance to reach, but it doesn't. So his down forward 1 has simultaneously good and bad range, which is why I found it super
But the fact
weird.
that he has a standard down forward 1,
yeah,
more or
it
less,
is good. And he's got
It's-
mix-ups out of it as well.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to compare it to somebody like let's say Kazumi, right? Because hers is also -3 on block, I believe.
Yes, it is.
now, right. So, what does she have for mix-ups after down forward 1?
Down for 1 2.
Down forward 1 too. That's it, right?
Or another down for 1, basically.
But yeah, or another down
Are you
forward
gonna
1.
push or not? Is the mix up? Yeah.
Right, exactly. And Fahkumram has down forward 1 2,
Down for 1 2,
4.
which you can't step or interrupt.
You cannot.
Yeah. Down
and
for
then
1 2 1.
Yeah, he
Down
has
for 1 4.
forward
Yeah.
1.
4
yeah,
is the
okay, so-
uninterruptible homing mid.
right. That wall splats.
That wall splats, yeah.
Yeah. And then he also has down forward 4 3.
4 3 2. The hell
Yeah,
sweep.
The hell
basically.
sweep.
Yeah.
So
Good,
that's a
it's good.
very good like down forward 1
Mix-up
quote,
potential,
unquote,
yeah.
Mix. Yeah. Because usually down forward 1s, their mix
They have
up
2
is-
extensions max, usually.
Yeah, 2 extensions max.
Yeah.
Or no extensions.
Or no extensions, yeah, basically.
Right.
0 to 2 extensions is usually the max, but
Yeah.
he's got like 4.
Yeah.
So it's okay. For me, I think we both you put him top 10. I wouldn't put him top 10, but I think one thing we can agree is we both think that he's stronger than what a lot of people say he is right now. That's when I saw his moves, I was like, damn, he's good. Okay, and then I looked at it a bit more. I'm like, okay, he's not that good, but I see a lot of people who think that he's mid tier, maybe top like in the A tier category. I would put him in pretty like good A tier, maybe high A tier, because I think he's decent. His tracking issues that a lot of people say is true. In the neutral, a lot of his stuff can be stepped to the left. That's 100% true. And then his mix-ups can be sidewalk to the right for a lot of them as well. But I think that's just a conditioning thing for me. And
He's very much so a conditioning.
he's a conditioning character, very much so, yeah. So like
he kind of reminds me a little bit of Horang too, right? Where
Ooh,
if you
yeah.
play this character, it's very easy to shut your brain off and just do the same options over and over and over again.
yes, that's so true.
Because if you watch most average Horang players, they have tendencies where they're like, oh, they're in left flamingo, they're gonna do
Yeah.
this option, or they're in right flamingo, backlash is coming, right? So like you get into these scenarios where it's very easy to start not actually paying attention and playing the game actively and start playing the game passively, in the sense that you start doing the same things over and over and over again, right?
Right.
For instance, so I played online. I would a couple of times intentionally put myself at the wall so my opponent does back 2, hold 1.
Okay.
Right? The one where it's unblockable punch. It's an unblockable mid punch.
Okay, I get it now.
And when
Oh,
that
yeah,
happens,
I remember.
more often than not, I know, like, okay, if I put myself at this position,
He's gonna try for that.
they're going to try for the hold move. In which case,
Mhm.
I can just like magic 4 it when I see the back 2 come out, and then
You
go
could
for it.
just down for 2-3 that, can't you? Like, because
you can.
there's a lot of time. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, online not so much because
True.
yeah, online it's much harder to do. But whatever the case,
Online.
People start shutting their brains off and start playing passively in that sense, and they're like, okay, they're next to the wall, I should do this, not thinking, hey, last time I did this, I
Doesn't
should
work.
probably mix it up. Yeah.
So I think he's good. I think he's really, really good. But I wouldn't put him in top 10 because I just think there's characters that are just better than him. Like okay, I'm just gonna take a look at like my top 10. Okay, in S tier I put Akuma, Jin, Paul, Brian, Steve, Julia, Shaheen, Zafina, and Leroy. I wouldn't say Fahkumram is better than any of these guys. That's why I can't put him in there.
Did you say Nina?
No, I didn't say Nina.
Oh, what was your list?
Akuma, Jin, Paul, Brian, Steve, Julia, Shaheen, Zafina. I think that's why you heard Nina, and Leroy.
You put Brian in there?
Yes, I put Brian in there. Don't. All right, you Brian played. I know you think that Brian is overrated. I saw your tweet. Okay, I fucking saw it. I don't think he's overrated. I think he's hella good. In fact, I put Brian in ST in season 2 as well. And I stand by it. I think he's good. I think he's really, really good.
Wow.
If I had to change this tier list, like for my S tier, I would maybe move Zafina out or Shaheen out, one of the two. But the rest is, I would say, I'm pretty solidified. Yeah, I don't think Fahkumram is
How
better
in
than
the world did you put Brian in season 2 at S tier when Kazumi was running all over everybody? What does Brian get when Kazumi does down forward 1-2? Oh, let me get a while standing 3.
While standing 3.
While standing 3 plus 4 frames. What kind of asshole like backwards like punishes that?
Okay, I put Kazumi in A tier in season 2. In hindsight, I would change that. I would put her in S tier in season 2, but I would still put Brian in S tier in season 2. And I know a lot of people wouldn't agree, and that's fine.
Sure.
But I think Brian in season 3, I think he's definitely S tier. Like, there's no way around it. There's no way around it. Brian is hella S tier in season 3.
What's your logic behind it? Besides,
he's just good. What do you mean? These characters are just good.
What about him do you think?
The only thing that I don't like about him is his high execution. Honestly. And maybe it's because I'm a naturally defensive player, so I quite like playing Brian. When I play Noctis, I'm hella defensive as well. So it's fine. I don't need to be aggressive. That's just me.
Yeah, but then how are you going to open up or stop a rush down? Like, Brian has issues when...
Okay, Magic 4 is a bit hard to convert off of. But for me, rush down, I just jab check or... Like, down for 2 is fine. Honestly, it's fine. And I'd rather have a generic down for 1, but I think down for 2 is fine. I like all of his counter hit strings a lot. I love down forward 2, 3. You know, I love forward 3. I love a lot. I love 3 plus 4. And I just think he's just good in general.
When you start playing Brian and then have to like
play Brian sometimes, okay?
And when people don't run into your forward 3s and 3 plus 4s and orbitals, what do you do then?
Okay, look, I'm used to that as Noctis. It's very hard for Noctis to open up an opponent, right? All he can do is run up. You can down back 2, but I don't use down back 2, so I demo man. So that's literally my only option to open up an opponent. So I'm kind of used to having trouble opening up an opponent. So with Brian, when I play, when they start getting on the defensive, I literally run up quarter circle back 3 like twice in a row. That's all I do.
And like, then when they hop kick, and then what do you punish?
Well, then you don't do it. That's a conditioning thing, you know. Okay. Anyways, well, we should get back to.
Yeah. We should get back to that.
Okay. Brian. I'm gonna say Brian's still in my S tier, but anyways, in general, I don't think Fahkumram is better than any of the characters in my S tier. That I put. I think he's good. He's solid.
Talking about for tournament play?
Yes.
For tournament play, I think Fahkumram's amazing.
Wow.
Top 10.
Oh, okay. Look, I guess I can see why. Punishment is very important in a
punishment
tournament.
Is very important.
Very important.
Also, mix-ups are very important.
Because
as long as you don't get downloaded in 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 5, you have enough time to continue your mix, like to be.
I think that's why Kazuya is also a better tournament character than he is a deathmatch character. Because it's very easy to be predictable with Kazuya. But all you need to do is just Unga Bunga for 2 games, you know? And then you can kind of get it. But
so why haven't we seen Kazuya?
Well, he's, you know, look, man, okay. But I think in deathmatch, it's a lot easier to figure out a player over time, right?
I would say deathmatch Brian is easily top like top 10.
I would say Brian's better as a deathmatch character as well. I would agree with that.
Yeah, for sure. Because then you have an idea of what their teching tendencies are. You also figure out things like how much pressure you can put on them before they start pressing buttons, right? It's hard to get a download quickly on 2 out of 3 matches.
Yeah, it's very hard.
Even 3 out of 5 is very
You could
hard.
be better than the player, but you know, sometimes anything happens in 2 games.
Yeah,
like it's the reason why Nee wins all of his death matches, but in tournament he can get kicked out from, you know, some guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think Fahkumram is good. I don't know. Some people seem to think he's not that good, but overall general I know Arya doesn't think he's that amazing.
I mean, okay, so let's put it this way, right? He has good lows that are bad at the same time.
Oh yeah.
And that's one of the
they're
things
all very minus.
Yeah, aside from I think down forward 3. Yeah. Aside from down
that's
forward
minus
3,
12. That's good. Yeah.
Yeah. So down forward 3, but it leaves him standing the whole time, and it's 20 frames to come out if I'm not mistaken.
It's not that fast.
So it's 20 frames to come out, minus 1 on hit, and it's
that's
not,
fine. Honestly,
yeah,
that's fine.
I mean, I guess it's okay.
It's okay. Yeah.
1.
For minus 12, it's okay. I would say it's fine.
For minus 12, it's okay.
If it's minus 13, I would like it to be faster.
Right. Down 4, 14 frame low.
Minus 5 on hit.
Minus 5 on hit, minus
16 on block.
Down 3, of course, this has to be, in a sense, minus because it has an extension, right?
Yeah.
It has to be, and there's a whole mix-up revolved around down 3. So it has to be either minus, 14 to 16.
How minus is down back 4?
Down back 4 is minus 14, I believe.
Oh, I thought it was 13.
The reason it's minus 14 is because it's, first of all, it's plus 5, which
+5.
I guess Brian has now.
But it's easy to do.
But it forces crouch.
Oh, it does? Wait, I didn't even realize that. I didn't even notice that it forces.
Doesn't it force crouch? I think it forces crouch.
Does it force crouch? Wow, I didn't know. I didn't.
Anybody listen to this podcast, please don't add us.
Don't add us on Twitter. You know, we're not Michael Murray. Don't add us.
Murray. Yeah. If you want to add somebody, add at Michael Murray.
You're gonna drive the man more insane.
I mean, didn't you turn off his Twitter? I mean, but that's okay.
No, he's back up. He's back up.
But anyways, yeah, I think down back 4 is minus 14 because it's plus 5 and forces crouch. Because it forces crouch. No.
It's hella slow too, but I think it's a good low.
But that's Brian.
I wish it left the opponent closer on hit because it pushes back quite far.
If you hit it, you can get a down forward 1 check actually.
Oh, it still works the distance?
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow.
Yeah, down forward 1
I think it's way scarier at the wall though for sure.
Oh yeah.
The pushback is non-existent after that, and plus 5 is huge.
Oh, let me also put it this way: Fahkumram is extremely good at the wall. That's where the mix-ups really fucking.
His
start.
standing 3 is also really good. 13 frame mid with a lot of extensions as well. He's good. He's good.
Because you don't really care about the pushback moves out in the open. It's like, oh no, you get a down, really. You guaranteed down 4 after 4, 3, slide 4.
Yeah, whatever the fucking charge move is.
Yeah, the eruption knee. Like you get a free down 4, but like it's not that bad. Like, oh no, like
it's way scarier at the wall because the wall splats on block. So
it wall splats on block, and the same thing with back 2-1, right? Out in the open, you don't care. Same thing with the spin kick. You don't care because it's not gonna do anything. But I think he's also designed incredibly well. I think he's designed incredibly well because what he does is that he's a bully character at the wall.
Yeah.
Not so much out in the open. Out in the open, he's not nearly as scary. But
right, yeah. I agree with that.
But he has these moves, like the charging moves, right? That do give significant pushback.
Yes.
So so even if you're not scared to like block those moves, you can only block so long until you get to the wall. In which case, then you have to make a decision.
Yeah, you have to eat the mix up basically.
You have to eat the mix up. Am I gonna like block and respect what string they're going to do, because if I do, I might just eat the hold move. And as much as people want to say like, oh, just fuzzy it, it's not.
It's not that easy.
I went into the lab to test this out, and I sat there for like
Just
a better half
fuzzy
of like
it low.
30-40 minutes, and I was like, no, this is incredibly fucking hard to fuzzy.
They have different timings because the moves come out at different timings. So
Yeah.
how long can you fuzzy for?
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of weird. Overall, okay. I think we should probably wrap this up for
Yeah.
Fahkumram.
Yeah.
So you think he's top 10? I think he's solid. I would put him outside of top 10.
So what do you put him at? Top 20?
I could put him in top 20. I think we both think he's better than a lot of people think. I think that's one common thing, but you put him way higher than I do.
All right,
So.
let's do this. I put $5 that he's gonna be top 10. If that doesn't happen, you owe me $5.
What?
On PayPal.
Okay, I'll take that bet.
Yeah. All right. Put your money where your
All right,
mouth is. All right, I respect
it's-
that.
it's
And the only
in-
and again, the
recorded
reason
now.
why I put him here is one.
This
is punish
okay. Let's
game.
clarify.
Punish-
This is for tournament play.
This is for tournament
and-
play.
Okay, yeah.
And
okay.
because he has such good punishment, it's so hard not to put a character in there.
He does have weak matchups though. He will have weaker matchups than someone who is better rounded like Leroy,
Sure.
or Kuma. So maybe that would dissuade people from playing him in tournament as much because it would be better to have a character that just does good against the entire roster.
Yeah.
So
But it's really
I don't
hard
know.
for me to ignore a character that has good punishment.
that's true. Yeah, his punishment is, man, having good punishment is so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, that's Fahkumram. I think that's it.
Yeah.
Next, so Tekken's been out for the better part of 5 years, and it's gone through a lot of changes. Right now we're in season 3.3.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna give our thoughts on the game currently and
Yeah.
how we feel about it. I don't. Did you like season 3 when it came out? By the way.
Yeah, because Brian got full crouch down forward
Oh my
2-1.
fucking
and it
god.
was-
Oh my god.
Yeah, like of course I liked it. Brian
Okay.
got a buff to down 4. Brian got a buff to
Herder. Okay, so I was one of the few people that was. I really liked season 3 when it came out. A lot of people complain on Twitter. It's like, oh, damage is getting too high. Balancing of the game is getting fucked up. But I really liked the overall season 3 change, right? And a lot of people didn't. And I was like, yeah, it's good. But after that point, the release of Leroy and the subsequent like 2 or 3 patches that we've gotten, or 3, right? Yeah, total of 3.
Well, one patch was dedicated to Leroy.
Dedicated to Leroy, yeah. So over that period, I've slowly but surely started to lose faith in the balanced team. Because initially I was like, you guys did a great job with the season 2 and season 3 changes. And then over time, it's like it went down. And I'm still okay with the current state of the game. I know a lot of people aren't, and they'll just turn off the game. They'll go to like tag 2 or some shit.
Yeah.
I'm still okay with it, but I don't like the direction that it's headed at. Basically.
What's the direction that they're headed at?
I think they're still increasing damage overall in the game. They are buffing the mid and high tier characters overall in favor of just like pushing some of the less recognized mid tier characters, and they're also looking at the world stats to balance the game, which I think just doing that is probably not a good idea, because then you're just catering to the casual fan base, which is gonna kill your tournament scene. And I think a lot of pro players, I think, also for the same reason, do not really like the changes as well. I don't know. I don't like the direction the game is headed at. And I think they could still turn it around, but it's going to require such a huge fundamental change that I don't know if it's good, because having so many balance patches is unstable. So basically, like, it cycles between like I think someone mentioned a really good point, but basically I saw this on Twitter where what they're trying to do every season is introduce public enemy number 1. So like in season 2 it was Geese and Kazumi, right? Kazumi,
Yeah.
even though she got
sure.
nerfed, but she got more popular. Season 3 it was Akuma, basically. They're trying to introduce public enemy number 1 to basically put someone on top. But rather than doing that, they should instead buff the lower tier characters to just increase the general balance of the game. But they choose not to do that. They choose to instead focus on the more popular characters, which I think may not be the right way to go about it. What about you? I don't know.
So I agree with you. I think they should buff the lower tier characters, right? Characters that are very underrepresented. For instance, Leo.
Oh yeah, Leo's
Like, I mean, the reason why Leo doesn't see a whole lot of representation is because his down forward one doesn't have very good tracking on it.
I would have probably put her in S tier or maybe high A tier in season 1. Like, she was really good.
I think as the game progresses, though, I think that changes.
Everyone got changes.
Yeah. So those types of characters like Leo, Bears, Gigas, Lars, the characters that I had mentioned, like the characters I had mentioned before, Eliza.
Yeah.
These types of characters, but it's incredibly hard to balance the game, as I said. But those types of characters, I think, if you do buff them, I don't think people are going to be incredibly angry, right? Because it's already pretty rare that you run across these characters
Online.
When was the last time you fought a Leo, or the last time you fought like?
I've probably fought Leo once online.
Yeah, like or Lars or Gigas. Like that's why I don't know the matchup, right? Like I don't know.
That's why they aren't popular.
Like I don't see the character very often. Meanwhile, like if you play against Kazuya, like you're like, oh, every other game is a Kazuya game, right?
Yeah.
Or
every other game
like
is a Paul as well. Yeah.
Yeah, Paul. Yeah. So those types of things, I think, is something that should be looked at.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing that I would like for them to do is simultaneously give a character buffs and nerfs. Right? What if, say, for instance, Brian lost 1 damage on his hatchet, but he gained 5, like, got to +5 frames? Then you were
that's still a buff. That's still
a buff. But you're like, wait a second. Like, he lost damage, but he also got +1 frame. Interesting. Like it would be very interesting in that respect. And you would have to actually kind of think about it. Or, for instance, let's say he lost 2 damage on hatchet kick, but he got +5 frames. Right? You have to then think about it.
That's a bit of to me. I think 2 or 3 damage is a much larger change than it is 1. Yeah. So maybe.
So
I don't know where I heard this, but I think it was like Koi Gaming. But basically, a nerf usually constitutes the same feeling except backwards for 2 buffs. Basically, so if you get 2 buffs, it's the equivalent like amount of like happiness that you would feel sadness for if you got 1 nerf. Right. But I think that also depends on the change as well. Like if you took out 1 damage, if you took out 1 damage from Brian's hatchet but gave him +1, I think most people would be pretty freaking happy.
Yeah, people would still be happy, I think.
People would still be hella happy. So
yeah,
it really depends on the change.
And then, for instance, Horang's thing, now from what is it?
Right foot forward, back 2.
Yeah.
+2 to +4. That is ridiculous. I hate that change so much.
Which means he gets a guaranteed down forward 1 check.
Yeah, he does.
Right. So he gets a guaranteed down forward 1 check. I think this could have changed to like +3 instead of +4. Because then at least this way, down forward 1 trades with a jab.
It also makes his right foot forward 4/4 a frame trap now as well. It's a launcher, can't hit launcher. So
yeah,
and I mean people don't usually throw it out, but it's what it is.
Yeah,
and I think that +3. Okay, fine. Yeah,
because you at least trade. You'll trade with a jab. You do a jab, they do down forward 1. You trade. Right. I think there needs to be, when doing like plus minus frames, I think there needs to be very closely monitored.
What they should do also is they should release like notes for why they made the decision they do. Because some games do this, where they release the balance and then they tell you, this is why we do this change and this is why we don't. But Tekken doesn't do that. And in fact, Michael Murray was asked about it on stream, and he just went like, man, that's not gonna solve any fucking problems, you know. I think it would. I think it really would. It would. It would solve a lot of
games
communication
like,
issues. Yeah.
Games like Hearthstone does this. They
Yeah.
say that after viewing our data or something, you know, this card was nerfed because it saw X amount of play, right? If you see a card being played like 70% of the time, then
Ice
clearly,
block.
yeah, or whatever it is, like if you see a card played so much, then at some point in time you need to, you know, either nerf it or buff other cards, and as a result, you need to explain why you did it.
Mm-hmm.
People are
upset because the lack of communication. Yeah.
I think my logic behind why they don't do it is, one, they don't have a big enough team to do it, I think.
Maybe, yeah.
And then the other thing is, it would be a lot to write. I'm not going to lie. It's going to be a lot to explain.
Yes, it would be.
It's like, how do you explain to somebody why you gave +2 to this move, and now everyone feels
we just want to make it better, you know?
It's like everyone feels that it's overpowered, but the developers don't feel like it's overpowered. Like, how do you explain that in a concise way when you have, like, I'm just looking at this change list and it's like, how many lines is it? It's
a lot. It's a lot. Yeah.
Even though this is actually pretty small in comparison to season 3. Imagine like season 3 changes.
A full seasonal change would be nuts for writing
for them
notes,
to
actually.
write. Yeah.
I think Michael Murray said, like, okay, this is not gonna solve any problems because people are still gonna get mad anyway. But that's not the real issue. The real issue is that players feel a lack of communication. They don't understand why these changes are made. And that's why a lot of them feel like, do you see Arthur Ashe's statement? He really doesn't.
I saw it. Yeah.
He really doesn't understand why they keep putting some of these changes in, and the game doesn't explain to us. The devs don't explain to us. So we just kind of have to go with it, and that's what causes the frustration and why people keep yelling at people on Twitter. You know. So I think it would help, but I guess you don't have to. It would be, of course, it would be a lot of effort for sure. But maybe just not like do it for every single change. Like damage changes, you don't really have to write why you increase or decrease damage. But like like the major stuff, like why you buffed an electric to recover faster on whiff, why you gave the hell sweep,
like big
tracking.
changes.
Yeah, why you gave Hwoarang's rifle forward back to +4, because that's a huge change to me. Yeah. Like stuff like that, I think it would be very helpful if there was a bit more communication on their end to us, because then we can understand. There's like a level of understanding where we see that the devs are like working hard and not just like drinking and then just writing out the changes, you know? Like, because that's what a lot of people feel now. Like, they're just thinking, what the fuck is the dev team doing? But it's a lot of effort to balance the game, and I get that. So I would just like a certain level of communication. That's my rant.
Yeah. I also agree with you, and I want to add that the whole thing with these types of changes, would you feel more upset if they did smaller changes like monthly? Small changes monthly, so you had time to adjust to it.
No, I don't like that. I prefer stability, so I rather a big change every once in a while. I don't like constant changes, basically, because then I have to keep figuring out stuff in the game, and it's good for content creators like us. You know, we can make a freaking free video every month. Yeah,
free video every month. Yeah.
Free video, yeah. But from a player perspective, I think getting that many changes every month is not healthy. And I can see the argument for it. Like, you know, it's better, it's easier to adapt, right? If it's very minor changes every month. But I don't like that. I don't think I like that. I think a lot of people prefer the game to be stable as it is. So like, don't give us a balance patch like every like 2 months, every 3 months. We'll get one every year. It's if it's really good, settle it, right? Yeah. Like basically what happened with season 2. It was generally, I think, a well agreed upon good balance patch.
Yeah.
And then we got season 3, and to me, I love the season 3 changes. That's fine. And then we got Leroy. So then that's of course a situation where you are inevitably have to change some stuff, right? Because Leroy was broken.
Right.
But then the extra stuff that they added on afterwards, like the second patch and this patch, I think was completely unneeded, and I would love the game to be just stable. That's my thoughts. Yeah. Constantly rolling out balance patches, I don't think I would like that. Would you prefer it that way?
I think I also wouldn't prefer it that way because, as you know, like I'm doing content creation, I don't have a lot of time to lab things. So when I finally do get around to labbing it, it's like, oh wait, it's already changed.
Yeah, it's outdated.
It's outdated, and it takes time to develop muscle memory, especially to new things. For instance, Jack's 1+2. It used to be a mid-high.
I still dug that shit.
I still dug that shit too. I still dug that shit.
It's so dumb.
Yeah, and I get hit by the second hit, and it's like, oh fuck.
Yeah. Even Jimmy got hit by it in tournament, and yeah, season 3, man, season 3. It's like, yeah, it's hard. Okay,
so I think we're on the same boat on that one, where you get one big change once a year, enough to shake up the meta. You know, if people, and I also think that even if you do shake up the meta, people aren't just going to necessarily switch to that character because people do have loyalties.
There's character loyalists, yeah.
So,
I mean, people like you are always gonna stick to Brian.
Yeah.
And yeah, you know, I change around characters, but I usually stick to one main at a time.
Of course,
I always play that way.
I think most people have one main character and then, you know,
they dabble around
1 to 3 side characters.
Oh, I have too many side characters. But I suck at all of them. That's why I only play my Noctis. So,
I mean, that's why you have a main.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Specialist. Character specialist.
All right, so let's get to the whole Michael
last
Murray
topic.
thing.
We're at 1 hour, but okay, we'll try and push this last topic a bit fast. So last topic, Michael Murray had a lot of drama on Twitter. If you haven't seen it, well, this part is probably not as relevant, but basically Michael Murray came out after the balance patch first dropped, and he said a statement that I think most people agree is really dumb, and then basically started a lot of drama and said a lot of stuff on.
You want to say the statement first? What the statement was, so people
okay,
understand.
So the statement is, he's referring to the Hell Sweep, by the way, the Hell Sweep change.
Yeah.
Why would you want to sidewalk if you can block and launch if you know it's coming? So, try and wrap your head around that first. And basically, the common reply was 3D game, by the way. So, this, and then he says a lot of stuff on stream, and it gets clipped, and people always like send it to r/Tekken, and then a lot of people are shitting on Michael Murray right now in general. And I don't think that's the right approach. And I think people need to understand. I understand both sides, right? On Michael Murray's end, I understand he's a dev and he communicates with the audience. That's great. But he also is too sensitive. So he takes a lot of the comments to heart. And that's why he's always so angry on Twitter. And then on the other side, players need to understand that Michael Murray, even though yes, he's in charge, but he doesn't do like all the balance. He's not the one.
He's not the one in the back there programming,
exactly.
And it's like, all right, Brian, 1 frame plus 2 damage. Like
he's not writing down the notes on the notepad. You know, it's like, Huarong RFF back to +4. No, like he gives the general direction. He gives the list of characters he wants to change, and then he just leaves it all to the balance team. So he's not the one. He's in charge, but he's not manually pulling all of the strings. So people need to understand that, and it's easy to keep yelling at him because he's the one that's in charge. So he's communicating, right? He's the one relaying all the information.
He's like the figurehead, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. He's relaying all the info to the players and as well to his team. So I get it, but crying at him is not really gonna help. So I understand both sides. You know, is what I'm saying. Yeah. What's your thoughts?
I think there's a time and place for each, right? If a character is absolutely broken and the developers don't feel that way, by all means, make all the noise you possibly can.
That's what happened to Leroy, honestly.
Which exactly happened to Leroy. But
Yeah.
Apparently they already knew this, but didn't release the patch.
They knew,
But
yeah,
this,
exactly.
But this is a whole nother thing. But whatever the
Yeah.
case, I think that people need to realize also that, look, if you push the developers or, the community figures to hate this game, it's not going to help you.
It's going to reflect on the game.
It's going to reflect on the game, right?
Yeah.
You guys who play Tekken, you, me, Keith, all of us who play Tekken, we just want a good experience with the game. That's all we want. And I think it's because we are so passionate about the game that we get angry when something isn't balanced the way that we think it should.
Yep.
And I think this is also why Michael Murray gets angry too, because he's passionate about the game. Like, he's like, how dare you guys be it's almost like if you were in his shoes and you tried
I would be hella
best,
pissed too, honestly.
Like, imagine you tried your best to make people happy and they just weren't happy. And you're like, come on, guys, I tried my best. It's like, well, you fucked up.
Yeah.
and think about it this way too. Michael Murray doesn't play on a competitive level.
No.
He's not a competitive player. But he's trying his hardest, I'm sure, to have to give the best experience, because there's no reason for him not to try his best. Why would he not try his best? He has all the incentive in the world, and if he does a good job, he gets all the praise. He gets all the praise, right? People would be like, "Hey."
He's not running out trying to change the game just for people to yell at him. Obviously,
that would make no sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
So I think it's just, there's so much passion for this game that people want it to do well, and people want to enjoy it to the fullest extent and have a good solid memory of this game, that people are so passionate about it. And the same thing with Michael Murray too. He is very sensitive about these things, but I think it's because he's really passionate.
He is.
And let's be real, the majority of players are dumb as shit. So when they're they don't understand something, and they just they're like, oh my god, this character's cheap, or this move's cheap, or this and that, it's probably because there hasn't been enough time spent on it to understand why it's cheap. And let me put it this way,
Snake Edges are cheap to a new player, obviously.
Of course.
Yeah.
And let me put it this way. The whole Leroy being overpowered and stuff, I think in a competitive scene, on the professional level, Leroy was absolutely broken.
He was.
But if you were to take Leroy, put him in First Dan, every character would be cheap.
True, yeah. Every character is cheap.
Every character is cheap when you don't understand the character too. So in this sense, even people who are just starting to play Tekken, or I've only been playing Tekken for let's say 3 months, and oh my god, this character is cheap. Yes, until you figure the character out.
Yeah.
So
everyone thinks, honestly, that's why certain characters that are considered low tier and high level, some people just don't understand. It's like, what, Gigas is so cheap, Eliza is so cheap, but they're really not. When you really figure it out.
Yeah.
And okay, so regarding Michael Murray, I just think he needs to grow a bit thicker skin. That's for sure. I think it's like being a content creator, basically. You just need to sometimes just not give a fuck. You get a lot of dumb shit comments every day. Yeah. Just ignore most of them, I would say. There's some stuff that you obviously should listen to. I think it's very important to listen to the pro players as well. The majority of the casual audience are dumbasses. Yeah, it's basically what you said. And the players also need to recognize that the more you yell at him, the more he's gonna be like, shut the fuck up, I don't want to listen. Because it's the same. You tell some guy worked super hard on a video, like us, and then you suddenly some guy's like, yeah, but you left out this shit, and that's why this video sucks.
Yeah,
it's of course you're gonna feel bad about
there's
it.
a million things going on. I for instance, I did a Fahkumram video for staple combos. I'm sure I left out one move. I'm sure I left out 1 or 2 or 3 moves.
It's inevitable, yeah.
But it's inevitable at some point something gets overlooked because, one, you're trying to meet a deadline.
Yes, basically.
You have a deadline of some sort. So you have a deadline, so you're trying to meet that deadline, and because of that, things get rushed. I understand. But then there's 2. Shit happens.
Yeah, basically, shit happens.
Stuff happens. Like, there can be goof ups. That's just part of life.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same. For my 2.30 video, I was rushing it, so of course I didn't include everything. I did intend for that to be an extended like analysis of all the changes. But then I get a comment like every like 3 comments like, hey, you forgot Nina. Hey, what about Akuma's forward that you didn't state? It's like, dude, you know.
Yeah.
Like.
But again, Keith, like this is all because out of passion, right?
Of course.
I refuse to believe, and this is maybe just me being naive, but I refuse to believe that people just purely write some shit like that to be like, ha, I remembered something.
I remember what you didn't.
I think it's just purely out of passion, and people just want to chime in.
I can see that, but it just gets frustrating sometimes, and I get it. I totally get it. Because I used to really care about it as well. Mm-hmm. And as a developer, of course, it's important, but sometimes you just gotta not give a fuck, you know? Yeah. But of course, when everyone's crying at you for, like, of course, it means you did something wrong. So it probably is best to alleviate that the way you can. And that tweet I said, Michael Murray tweeted, like the just block instead of sidewalk, he did come out, and just for clarification, he did come out like a day later or 2 days later and say, like, in hindsight, that tweet was kind of dumb. So, you know, he recognized it. Yeah. So so it's just all in the it's the heat of the moment, basically. Like, he tweeted that because he saw so many people adding him on Twitter, and then he got frustrated. So he just boom. Just block lol. So but it's tough. It's tough being a public figure.
Of course, absolutely. Yeah, maybe one day when we have more than 10,000 subscribers, we'll really feel.
We'll start to feel the burn.
Feel the burn, yeah.
Yeah. That's basically it.
Yeah.
All right. I think this was a great episode.
I think this is one of our better episodes.
I think this was probably our best episode. I think we
Well, we only have 3.
We only have 3, yeah. But not that we have a lot, but I think So that was great. I love doing these.
Yeah. It's fun. I always look forward to them too, because I can just be me and you can be just you, and then we're literally. By the way, guys, in case you were wondering, none of this is really scripted. We just
we just write a list of topics and then just go.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Well, thanks everybody for taking the time to listen to this.
Yeah. If you are on the video version, then links will all be in the description to follow us on the other socials. If you're listening on the audio version, there's no links, but you can just drop a follow on the podcast so you don't miss it. And if you can, go to the video version if just to check out the links. So if you aren't following us on the other socials as well.
Right.
So I'm Keith, and
I'm Peter.
Thanks everyone for listening.
Thank you everybody for listening. See ya.
Bye.